Okay, good morning everyone. Today what we're going to present is on digital natives. This is a study that was conducted by the Johnson Controls Global Workplace Innovation Group, and it's looking at digital natives and the impact that they have on the workplace. So digital natives are a population that are coming into the workplace that have been surrounded by technology from a very early age. We're going to view how they view technology and the impact that this has on the workplace. First, right direction. First of all, we're going to talk about who and which populations we studied for the survey. The what information did we seek to establish from these people? The how, being how did we actually go about the survey and obtain the information? And most importantly is the what. What did we find, and what are the learnings that we can take forward and learn about the workplace?
Okay, so we all know that today there are multiple generations at work, amongst which we've seen a number of changes, largely surrounding the speed with which technology has advanced. I guess to quote Jerry, we're shit at change. So let's have a quick look at the generations in the workplace. Okay, so we've got the veterans, and they've worked without technology for a great deal of their lives, and they've often struggled to adopt the rapidly changing technologies that we encounter. Okay, baby boomers and Generation X. Although they do recall a time without technology in their working life, they are comfortable and can work smart using the technology. Generation Y. A lot of focus on Generation Y. Now, they've always known technology and they're often hooked into mobile technology, and they can't possibly conceive to live their lives without technology in it. And lastly, Generation Z. Now, they're not yet in the workplace, but we must be conscious of Generation Z coming into the workplace, because they will have a huge influence in how the workplace of the future goes.
So what would this guy have thought about it? I think it's fair to say that over the last 30 to 40 years, the whole landscape has changed from a technology point of view. It was only 35 years ago that the Walkman was invented, and shortly after that, mobile phones. So there's been a huge amount of change. So what we've done is to ask these guys, the 20-somethings, what do they think about it? So we embarked on this study, the Digital Native Study, which really seeks to understand what are the lifestyles of these individuals, and what is their relationship towards technology, and how do they view the impact of that on the workplace. So the study itself, we approached 2,800 digital natives to seek their views. We also undertook some interviews with some leaders, as well as digital native experts, to review the findings, and that's all contained in the final report. The survey was conducted in Germany, the US, the UK, and China. But first of all, let's just establish what do we mean by digital natives. We've talked about various different generations, but effectively the digital natives are typically 30 years old or younger, and have grown up with digital technologies all around them from a very early age, as opposed to the rest of us who are digital immigrants, where we've been confronted with technology at some stage during our lives. So the survey aimed to establish a few key points around what are the generational characteristics, so what is it that differentiates these generations from previous ones? What are the future trends in technologies that they see, and what are the challenges for the workplace from that perspective? What are the user patterns and behaviors regarding the use of these technologies? And how comfortable are they with these technologies? What's their sense of belonging with them, and how integrated are they into their lives?
Okay, so we assume that, or we're suspecting that digital natives will inject a new working culture into many organizations. They're globally connected, they're flexible, and they're collaborative. Okay, and they've developed a different communication style, largely through the advanced technologies, things like Twitter, Facebook. Okay, so they say they're the same, but they're the same but different. So they don't consider their lifestyles to be much different compared to older generations, their parents or whatnot. But the differences do exist. It's not what they do, but more how they do it. So they still interact with their friends. They still play sport. But it's arranged on the fly, and largely through technology. And the landscape's been very focused around a small number of brands, things like Apple, Facebook. And these brands represent a lifestyle, not so much the technology, but a lifestyle. So for example, Apple, associated with innovation, progress, creativity. And then Facebook. It's the most popular single point of entry to reach out to a large number of people, family, friends. It's the social link. And it reflects and underlies the importance of an internet-enabled, always-on relationship. Because as we've sort of already seen this morning, there's this always-on lifestyle. It's the on-the-fly mentality. And in the report, there's 61% of the respondents said that they would feel cut off or they'd miss part of their social life if they didn't have access to the internet through mobile technologies. So having this mobile technology, it's a new sort of extremity for them. They've got 2 arms, they've got 2 hands, and they've got a mobile device. It's part of them. Again, another finding from the survey, 58% of them feel naked without this technology. So again, it's become an essential part of their life. It's a part of them.
The platform that underlies all of the technologies that are in use through the digital natives is the internet, the one common platform, and therefore this is the key to supporting this lifestyle. We looked at usage of the internet and some quite interesting results came out of it. That, on average, within the digital natives, the social means was the highest usage of internet across all of the categories, whereas business use was only 18%. It was actually the 3rd ranking out of 5 and was actually the lowest in the UK and the US. 3/4 of those studied said that they actually feel addicted to these technologies. And when asked to live without it, they described the feeling as being like a punishment or being on a diet. And we asked exactly what that meant. They gave examples. Exact planning and sticking to those plans becomes a must. Something that previous generations took for granted and have learned to deal with, but for the digital natives, this is out of their comfort zone and a challenge for them. The feeling when they're not connected of being helpless, isolated, missing out on information from the outside world was common. And also, the short, boring waiting periods. I mean, how often do we see people sitting at a bus stop or at a train station or on a train, just browsing the internet, looking at updating their Facebook status or contacting their friends and family, etc. And that without technology, they have to think differently about these. It's also identified that the onset of all of these technologies, and particularly the social networking, has actually created, on the one hand, bringing communities together, bringing people together so that they can share information, but it's also creating a digital divide. Those are connected, those are not, so that social events are arranged on Facebook, and if you're not connected, potentially you might miss out. We also then asked about the workplace and how satisfied people are with the technologies that they have in the workplace. 53% of those studied said that they feel satisfied with the technology that their employers provide. But what that really tells us is almost half of them were not satisfied, were unhappy with the technologies provided, and that has real implications for those that are trying to attract and retain the digital natives into the future, and we really need to look at the strategies associated with that and the impacts of not being on board. And then we also asked them to have their say. What are the priorities for organisations? What do they need to really focus on in order to stay at the forefront and to continue to attract the digital natives into the workplace? And they listed these as their priorities, but the key ones here are around sustainable solutions in the workplace, technologies that support mobile working and flexible working, and easy synchronization of data from multiple platforms, so not just their standard IT platforms. They also mentioned some other ones around knowledge management system, easy to use knowledge management systems, and collaboration platforms.
Okay, so what does this mean in the workplace? I guess we're already seeing, and you're already experiencing, point number one here is a mix of private and public life. There's very much a blurring between the two. It's hard to delineate between the two. There's a dependency on the cloud technology, and in some cases, well, there is an addiction to it. The use of things like Dropbox, Moodles, Google Docs, they're all internet enabled. So having the internet, cloud computing is central to their being and central to the workplace. There's what we're calling a zoom in and zoom out mode. So multitasking. And it's the core of what they're doing. So we're quite often seeing they've got a laptop, they've got their mobile technology, they might be on a conference call. They're zooming in and out of these different technologies or interactions, focusing on a piece, but they're understanding all of them. Leading edge technologies and applications. There's a huge reliance on having the latest technologies to be more efficient. And synchronization. So in short, we want to have a fusion of all technologies so they're all capable of delivering the same thing.
So what tips can we learn from this as an employer? There's a few key ones that came out of this. Firstly, this concept of bring your own technology, and I think it was mentioned by Jerry earlier. The digital natives are very comfortable bringing their own technology to the workplace, whether it's their smartphones or their tablets or their own laptops. So, and this changes the way in which we connect within our organisations. This always connected, always on approach, which there's a couple of aspects to that. Firstly, the technologies that employers are providing need to be able to be mobile, need to be able to be used anywhere, whether it's on a train, whether it's at home, whether it's in the office. Also, we found with this always connected, there's a case study in the report where one of the people giving feedback stated that they actually found that they always make themselves available because they expect all of their friends and colleagues to always be available, and they actually get quite angry when people aren't available. So things like instant messaging come into this as, that availability. The no loss of transition from work to home. Not just being able to access your email from home, but being able to access the same, I suppose, group of applications that you'd be able to access in the office and to use them with the same amount of ease from home or from on the move. And also, I suppose, also with this move from the office to home, we're finding that because of the fact people are using the same technologies at home as at work, when they're at home, they're also checking work emails, and the digital natives feel quite comfortable to actually respond to work-related issues as they see them, whether it's at night or at the weekends. But by the same token, they expect that whilst they're at work, if they're receiving personal information or personal emails, that they're equally able to operate those or to respond to those. So it's the merging of the lines between the two. Consumer technologies in the office. What this takes us back to really is rethinking our corporate IT strategies to accommodate the bringing of new technologies in order to retain or attract and retain these digital natives. And encouraging social networking. They've been brought up with social networking for social purposes, but within the office, encouraging the building of networks, providing them with the ability to generate those networks and to encourage collaboration across, not just within the office, but across the entire organisation. And this really links on to the final point here about collaborative solutions, providing, from a physical perspective, providing the right space for the teams to collaborate, but also the technologies that allow them to share files, share views, share blogs, etc., across entire geographies.
Okay, so what are some of the key learnings we've taken out from the study? The digital natives, they work at speed. They expect things to work at speed. So they want to get what you want when you want. The efficiency, so that they're very good at multitasking, or they expect to be multitasking. Transparency and integration. So they want different technology to do the same thing. So it's all around compatibility. technology should be intuitive. Precision, they know the information is out there, but they want the right information, just not any information. And simplicity, everything needs to be simple. So they want to attract users, but they also want it to span across the generations. Okay, so that's just a brief summary of the digital natives study that we've undertaken. And if you'd like to get a download, you can go to www.globalworkplaceinnovation.com. It's a free download, and there's also some other